sold my soul to the bottle. Still none of my friends have left me yet. I'm the same man I was since the age of 13, and I've lived my life with no regrets. If you're looking for some freedom, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum. If you're looking for rhyme or reason, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum.
Oh man, we're live. It's the last party of the weekend. Smiley's here.
I am. On time once more.
There we go. Now you are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everything is red.
My this is my corner, my red corner.
Yeah.
It matches everything. I even did an extra red today.
I don't know why it says, oh, hold on, let me turn that off. You're not Blackout Theater.
Oh, no, that is misrepresentation.
You don't have a Instagram.
That's right.
Smiley doesn't have it. He has Facebook.
You can page me.
He's old. He's old. We're back. It's last party of the weekend. I have a new chair.
That's amazing, dude.
Look at this. This thing's huge. It's a throne. I know. People are jealous. It's fine. It's fine. People should be. I'm jealous for me.
Yeah, this is I've seen it in person, but it's much bigger in the studio.
I can do this. I go, so I can contemplate. We have a really good guest today. We have in the studio with us musician and comedian Leka. Hi,
Hello.
Leka. How are you?
I am good.
Is that a good representation? You're a musician and a comedian.
And right now, I guess it's comedian first and musician.
Yeah. But you're working back on that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like,
it's a combo.
Which really like makes me wonder. Like, people ask me all the time. They're like, "How do you do all the things you do?" And I'm like, "Well, it's how I'm built." But then I'm looking at you, and I'm like, "How do you do all the things you do?"
It is like careful planning and intentionality and multitasking.
Yeah.
So initially when I chose to do music and singing, I was like, I need to do singing because that's something I can do in the car. That's something that's portable if I want to practice. Like,
wow.
That's why I chose to do that specific thing at the time that I did.
Because I don't know, can we say that you have children, you're a mom?
I do have children.
So you have,
I have three children.
You have a family. And you are an artist that performs, because I mean, when I first met you, you were like lead singer of a band. You were, you're doing stand up. You're like, you came today from Writing Circle. How do you do all that? I mean, how do you just like you're just really good at the calendar?
I do have to be really good at the calendar, and I do have help. I do have my babysitter.
Oh, yeah.
Their dad watches my kids every other weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of pack a lot into those weekends.
Interesting. And then on the ones that are the off, you have them, so.
Yeah, I have them, or like this was the hard part about being in the band is I had to pay for the sitter for band practice.
Oh,
and so
that's tough, yeah.
Yeah, it's like an investment. I'm really committed, and it's a huge investment.
So then, if
for
someone
me.
like shows up late and shit, you're like, "What the hell?"
It is annoying.
Like,
it can be annoying.
You're like, dude.
But then that's when I multitask. I was like, let me write some jokes while I'm waiting.
Wow.
Let me do my schoolwork or whatever.
Interesting. And you go to school. And you're going to school, right?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So.
How do you do that? I mean, do you eat? Is eating in there?
I do forget to eat sometimes. I'm trying to be very intentional about remembering to eat. I did
Wow.
that here. I was like, okay, planning ahead. I'm going to be here in the evening. I got to eat before I come. So, yeah.
I wonder if people are like...
That's some extreme responsibility right there. I am not that. I wish I wish I was that responsible. I'm like, really? I'll be like, well, I guess I'll get rid of food or sleep or one or the whatever. I have this other stuff to do.
See, now I feel like I don't do enough. I feel like I'm lazy.
Maybe I'll just pass out during the day at some point. We'll find out.
I think, well, that's part of what I'm trying to do now is like make time to not do anything. And that's really hard.
Yeah. Because there's also like, having some sort of fun somewhere. And so that's tough,
Performance is fun.
It
Chris,
is. It is.
It's a lot of pressure though,
Well, it's more
or on yourself.
it is a lot
for
of
the
pressure.
most.
So do you find, how long have you done stand up?
So I'm kind of 3-ish years, I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
How well do you feel like you've developed in 3 years?
So I think that I have to measure based on the amount of time that I'm able to spend on it. So when I compare myself to somebody else who's done it for 3 years, I'm like, I feel behind because I can't invest as much time into it as I would like to invest. So I feel like I'm behind for 3 years in terms of my stand-up. I always feel like I could do better. So...
Yeah. But I mean, geez.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing too bad for being 3 years in, but
What was the...
I always feel like I
what's
could
the
do
movie Punchline? Have you ever seen Punchline?
No.
Where it's like, God, Sally Field's like a mom, and she's like, she decides she wants to do stand-up, so she's got to be like a mom by day and stand-up by night. So it's kind of, I mean, it isn't that, but it's kind of funny because I'm like, I was thinking of that. I was like, oh, it's like Punchline. Tom Hanks. I would like to go back and watch that movie because it's like a time capsule movie, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where it was definitely a certain time period.
I think all Tom Hanks movies have that quality to them.
Oh,
it's like a time capsule quality.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Money Pit the other day, and I was like, whoa, this is dated.
Oh, gosh. I loved Money Pit.
It stands up, but it's definitely a time and place. You're like, I know when this happened. I know when this was built.
What was the actress in that, or the actor, I guess? I don't know.
From Money Pit, who was that?
From Cheers, Shelley Long.
Yeah.
Like, there was a time where Shelley Long was, like, in everything, you know?
I remember her most from Cheers. Shelley Long was in Cheers, yeah.
I always saw that. There was one movie where she, like, choked on a chicken ball and died, and her sister, like, practiced a little bit of, like, voodoo and brought her back to life. And so then, like a year later. And that was on, like, see, I know all these obscure movies because they were on HBO or Cinemax and just played, like, all the time. So I watched them. So.
I'm intrigued by this concept.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
Shelley Long, Back from the Dead.
Yeah. And I want to say it was, like, You Again or something like that. I may be wrong. Maybe someone's in the chat. I don't know if we had many people watching that'll... Sometimes people will answer and tell you the whole thing. Do you feel like things like Writing Circle have helped you, like, grow as a comedian?
Yeah, I really got to work on... there's always time to work on stuff. And so because Writers Group is earlier on Sundays, and that's a time slot that I have, I kind of use that as my open mic.
Yeah.
So I try to write as much stuff there, and like that's intentional time for writing, and then go ahead and do my, because we get to do our little jokes at the end. So I try to work on the ones jokes I really, really want to work on.
That's fun. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's got to be one of those things where you have to be ahead of people that don't have, like, those opportunities. You know what I mean? There's, like, I feel like in the last couple of years, things have popped up like that, where people have more opportunity to, like, learn from, like, people who've been around for a long time. I mean, we're saying all this, like, the one day after the ending of Dry Heat Comedy Club in Albuquerque, very sad. And you were saying someone showed up to Writing Circle and was like, hey, can you tell me where the Dry Heat Comedy was? Was that lady, was she like a comedian, or she wanted to be a comedian?
I don't know. I mean, it's an open workshop,
Yeah.
so like open to the community. So a community member, I hadn't met but she may have went to the mics. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I do think that Dry Heat did provide support to us. And we have had like other like out of towners come to mics and be like, wow, this is like really different than where I come from, where nobody laughs, you get no support, you're not getting any feedback, you kind of have to do that in a bubble.
Wow.
And that's really hard. I think it's like impossible to get funny in a bubble.
Yeah. Well, and
my cat thought it was funny. I don't understand why you don't.
Well, and you have that where, like, you have these open mics where people show up that, you know, are random people that you've never seen before, and you can kind of see that, you know, they don't have someone to bounce stuff off of in a way, you know what I mean? Like, they'll tell jokes and you're like, did you not run that by anyone?
No.
You know?
Yeah. It's hard to do that.
Yeah.
If I feel really confident, I'll just throw something in at a show, but only if like I feel really, really confident about it. It doesn't always land, but
no. But I mean, that's part of it.
You can't do the whole thing.
But the whole thing too is like, you have to gauge it though. You're like, well, that didn't land. did it not land because it's absolutely not funny? Or did it not land because I did it wrong? Maybe if I tweak it a little right. I mean,
there's so many factors
Yeah.
involved. It's like delivery. It's
Yep.
like, did you do the right setup? Did they hear you clearly? Yeah. So there's a lot of
how
factors
fast you said it.
involved
Yeah,
that-
delivery. Like you said.
Did you pause for the laughter,
Yeah.
or did you run through it?
Right.
Yeah, there's so many factors.
But a lot of that, I think, you have to learn. And I mean, sometimes people can teach you that, but sometimes you kind of have to learn on your own. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who have to learn on their own. And I always felt like Dry Heat was like, I don't think a lot of comedy clubs, I mean, they might now. I don't know how they are nowadays in other cities, but I don't think they would have things like that. You know, like you go to, you might be, maybe Denver, but like you're in like New York, I don't know if there's a lot of places that, you know, come on Sunday and we'll teach you how to do this.
For free.
For free, right.
Yeah, no, I distinctly remember that LA comedian saying, like, you have to pay to come, or like the bringer mics even, to get time to practice your jokes in front of people. So it is like, it's very hard to get time in front of people, and that's like critical.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like there's going to be a huge void left behind with that. I mean, I hope not. I'm hoping somebody, I mean, you know, we had a big, you know, Smiley missed it. He wasn't there.
I was working. We've gone over this.
Okay. Well, whatever.
It was really nice to hear a lot of people saying about how they wanted to keep the community going,
Yeah.
because I think that's where a lot of people's concern comes from,
Right.
is like, we have this supportive community for the most part, and, you know, we don't want that to stop.
No.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone will step up and kind of become the linchpin on that?
I mean, we do have some of the folks from Dry Heat that are continued, or, you know, from
Yeah.
what I understand, are going to continue to produce shows. There's already a lot of people in town that have stepped up and started to do producing of shows. And
That's
I
good.
think as long as the shows continue to be like inclusive and have different voices, I think that we could be successfully like continue that legacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I was trying to say is, like, when I got up and talked, I was like, you know, a lot of people didn't think anything like this was possible in Albuquerque. They thought like Albuquerque could not sustain this. You know, Laughs closed down, nothing can open and do this. And Sarah and Kelly showed everyone, yes, it can be done. And then of course now there's two other people who saw what they did and were like, oh, we're going to come in and open a bigger one and, you know, have, you know, all these things. And I think with that, hopefully the comedians can go, you know what? Just because they're not here doesn't mean we can't, you know. Someone should, you know, like SNL. It's like SNL.
I'll see a bigger one. I'll make a bigger one too.
You know, SNL, like everyone's like, well, that cast left. They were the funniest cast they've had in years. They'll never bounce back. And then, you know, a couple of years later, SNL, they're like, this cast is super, you know, funny. And I mean, I think there will be people, I'm hoping, that will step up and, you know, become the linchpins, or, you know, run it.
Leadership is important. Yeah.
Leadership,
I think
there you
that's
go.
really important.
Leaders.
I think there is something special about Albuquerque in the fact that we do have a lot of struggles, and that makes for really good comedy. So I think that,
Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot of funny people here, and
Yeah.
I hope that we can like spread that Albuquerque, on pretty much, you know, all of New Mexico. There's a lot of humor here that we can share with the world, with the, not just here. So I like that Sarah and Kelly are going to be able to bring some of that over to New York too. So
From the chat, Smelly Strapnail says, we just built the space. The comics proved the market with the help of the infrastructure, sure, but with their talent. Well, of course. You know. Of course, so humble. Always humble. These Sarah and
they're
Kellys.
very sweet. Yeah.
I'm glad they made it to New York, by the way.
Yeah.
If they're listening, if they're out there in the world listening. But so, what drew you? Like, so you do music and you do comedy. What drew you to comedy?
I didn't realize how big of a comedy fan I was until I started to do comedy. Like, I knew I watched comedy specials on a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I didn't, like, if somebody asked me, like, what's your interest? I wouldn't have said, like, oh, stand-up comedy is, like, my major interest. But then if I look back, it's like during the pandemic, I was reading, like, female comedian autobiographies, like, back to back. I'm like, okay, I'm a huge fan. At work, I would listen to, they had, like, radio stations that will just play, like, clips of jokes of comedians. Sometimes they wouldn't say who the comedian was, but you just like hear constant loops of clips. And I was doing that. I was like, so I've always been a fan, but I didn't like consciously realize that I was like a huge comedy fan.
Really?
Yeah.
So then
It was subconscious.
you were like, you know what? When did you try it?
So I tried this in the garage. You guys probably have all heard of the garage on this podcast multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that was the first time I did.
Kind of like during the pandemic, right?
Yes. Yep. That's when I started in the garage.
I have heard stories of this place.
Yeah.
The wild.
It was dark times.
The
yeah.
dark times, wild times, well, we'll leave it at that. From the things
Dark
I've
and
heard.
wild.
I never
Personally,
went,
I was
so
going through a dark time, so it was like the perfect nexus for comedy. I think like, from what I heard everybody say at the farewell to Joy Heat, it was like that's the nexus for people like actually going through and doing the thing. So
yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere.
yeah.
So who were your like idols like in comedy that you were like, oh, I love this person and I want to go try it?
So Margaret Cho, I remember that I watched whenever Netflix did the mail-in DVDs. I had keep getting her specials on Netflix. And then I think like really when I first wrote my first, that was like a joke. I had seen Ali Wong, Baby Cobra. I was pregnant at the time, and I was like, oh yeah, there's like pregnancy has so many funny opportunities. Like there's so much there. And I was like, I wonder why she didn't like really delve into that. And then I thought to myself, like, now that I know, it's like, no, jokes take so long to write that you can only really do that and then like present yourself as a pregnant person in that persona. Like,
So there's like a time
on
frame
your
here.
next, it's like you want your jokes to be evergreen, and that's kind of like, so I learned a lot. I mean, I didn't know, but I learned a lot.
What's one of the earliest jokes that you did that now you look back and you're like, oh boy?
They've all been good. No, I'm just kidding. The very first joke I did, I believe it was the very first joke, but I still use the license plate joke. So that was like one of the first jokes that I had written. Okay. I mean, it wasn't exactly the same. I hope that it's improved.
I would hope not. Yeah. It's got to evolve, right?
Yeah. But it was like, and it's all comes from like my reality. So I was like, maybe I should get a custom license plate. And then I was like asking my friends, what should I get for custom plates? And then I had like this long list, and I'm like, what about this? What about that? So that's kind of like the origins of that joke, I guess, are very, very old.
Do you now when you see custom license plates, are you like, oh yeah?
I'm kind of obsessed. Yeah. In fact, I think I took some recently. I think there was a New Mexico plate that just said TX. I'm like, okay, you're really repping Texas with this New Mexico chili plate. That's interesting.
That makes me ill that someone did that.
It was
They got a New Mexico license plate. They just want you to know that they are from Texas. Just so you
know.
I only moved here because it's cheap. Sorry, but I still love Texas.
Interesting choice.
Please move back if you are listening to this.
I do want to upgrade mine to the black chili plate. I like that one.
I do like that one too.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that one, I was like, are those from Jamaica? Because that was like
the colors.
The colors from Jamaica. Then I saw the chilies and I was like, oh, because now there's so many license plates from New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
There's that one. There's the turquoise one.
Yeah.
There's the yellow one.
That's my classic. I love that one.
Classic. Then there's one that's like white, but it has like a hot air balloon on it.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the first new one. That's the first new one they did.
The UNM one. The New Mexico State one. God, I'm trying to think what
Lobos?
else. That's what I meant, UNM.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think I know I'm missing one. Oh, there's like the ranch one.
Haven't seen the ranch.
It was like representing ranches. I was like,
oh.
Because the first time I saw it, I thought, that, because there's a special license plate for farms and ranches. And it's for vehicles that you're only really going to drive on a farm.
Vehicle. Okay.
Well, no, but then, so there are those. But then they came out with one that's like celebrating ranches. And I didn't realize there was two different ones. And I saw like a Porsche with like the ranch one on it. I was like, okay. You're trying to tell me that you only use that on the ranch? Like you throw some hay bales in the frunk or what?
Oh, I
you
thought
know?
they're just trying to like show off their ranch money because it's a lucrative business.
It was that, probably. It was that.
In the frunk.
That's what they're called. It's not.
Because it's a Porsche.
Yeah, it's in the front. It's the frunk. Yeah. So now that you've done it for like 3.5 years, what is advice you would give somebody else that's like getting into it brand new? This lady that showed up today and she's looking for drive heat. She wants to start comedy.
Well, I asked somebody when I first started, and they said, write everything down.
Mm-hmm.
That's like really good advice for anybody.
Yeah.
It's like any time you're thinking of something, even if it's not funny, if it's just thoughts, write it down. Yeah, I have to remember to do that all the time. Bring your phone out, bring your paper.
Yeah.
Pen to paper is special also.
Oh, yeah.
Like writing with your pen to paper, not just typing stuff up, makes a difference.
What? How often do you film yourself?
Film myself? I voice record myself. I don't really. That's why I'm not glancing at the camera here.
Yeah. Oh, really? You're one of
Wait,
those
no. But I'll voice record myself, and then I'll like multitask. I'll put my set in the car, or I'll try to do my set in the car.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I did listen to a podcast where I can't remember which comedian was saying that they practice in the car because there are distractions, and you still have to be focused. So I think that's like a good way to try to practice.
Yeah.
If you're a busy person like me, that's one of the things.
So you don't film your set while you're like you're doing a set at.
Oh, whenever I'm doing a real set, I'll try to film it as often as I remember, and when my anxiety doesn't prevent me from like wanting to feel like I'm in the way trying to set it up.
Right.
Sometimes the anxiety just is like, oh, where do I put this? Something, and then sometimes it doesn't work. I feel like so many times I've tried to film it, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot to hit record, or
oh wow,
oh, something's not right here, and you don't get a good clip.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And that's always
we
the worst.
know.
Oh, we know. We're well aware of that issue. But like when you watch that back, what are you looking for? Are you like trying to see like how you body language, or
there's a lot of things. So it's like perception versus reality.
Okay.
I think is initial. So like you'll do a set and then you'll be like, I didn't do well, or I did better. So you listen and you're like, oh, that was a lot more laughter than I heard when I was up there. So like that's really helpful because a lot of times you don't hear it if you're like in your head about like, oh, I missed that punchline, or I skipped a joke. You're in that space and you're not hearing the actual laughter sometimes, like not being able to be present in that. But when you watch it back, then you can do that. And then you can track, did I pause for laughter? That's like a big thing for me, is like rushing jokes. Did I pause? What's the flow of that? Did they hear me clearly? That was the other thing. So there's a lot there. But yeah, even physical space, I don't think I've really conquered the physical space part of it because I pace a lot. Oh. And it's like nervous energy.
I mean, have you seen Chris Rock? Jesus.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know. I've gotten feedback a lot that the pacing is weird. I think even in real life, people get uncomfortable with how much I pace.
Oh, I never know. I don't think I noticed.
Somebody recently was like, do you need to go to the bathroom? And I was like, no, it's just, I'm weird.
Maybe I do.
Maybe I also need to go to the bathroom.
Maybe you need to chill out.
That's,
I was waiting. I like to wait exactly 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. This is my pacing time in between, all right?
I have to pace a certain amount of times.
Dry heat, the green room at Dry Heat did not have a bathroom.
Oh yeah, back there. If you had to come out, yeah.
You'd have to walk around. But I feel like, so that's interesting because I always wonder, like when because like as artists, we don't like to watch ourselves. We don't like to hear ourselves. We don't like to watch the things we make, right? You know what I mean? Like you're like,
you have to get better. That's the hard part.
You do. You have to watch. You have to know. If you're a podcast, you have to listen back and hear all the ums and the and the clicking noises you make when you talk that you don't realize you make, But it's part of it, If you want to get better, if you want to, progress. So now that you've done 3.5 years, when you watch like somebody's special on like Netflix, do you look at it differently?
Completely different.
Yeah.
I can't watch comedy the same way ever again.
Isn't that weird how that happens?
I'm like way too intentional now. I'm like, I can't, I will even some of the in-person shows I've been to, I've like pulled out my notebook and I'm like, I have to take notes right now because that's important. It's like, I will forget what I'm seeing or what I'm getting inspired by right in this moment, if I do not write this down, it's like, oh, that reminds me of this experience I had. I'm going to do that. Or I saw that they did this at this show and that really worked. I could probably incorporate that into like what I do. So
interesting.
Yeah, and I'm a very analytical person. So it's already like,
yeah, you can analyze. What's the single most thing that you've seen that's helped you like progress?
The single most thing.
Yeah, like the biggest thing.
That's helped me progress.
More than journaling.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I just got a journal.
Mean, that's probably going to help.
And I'm like, I can't believe I left it at my house. I'm like, that's not the point of it. It should be in my backpack.
Right.
I'm trying not to think about it in terms of like, I don't know, the way you phrase the question. In my head, I'm like, my biggest obstacle, I think, is my anxiety.
Sure.
That is probably like my biggest obstacle. So like being comfortable in the space, being more present in the space. So
how do you overcome the anxiety? Well, what is the anxiety?
I tried improv and it helped a lot.
Yeah.
It helped a heck of a lot.
What is the anxiety?
I don't know. I mean,
like when you walk in
I'm still doing work on that. It's like hopefully I can get some treatment for that.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
like what's causing it?
Yeah.
I don't know the cause. I mean, I do a lot of.
Well, do you not like spaces with people, lots of people, or?
It's like everything.
Everything.
It's I would really like to learn a lot more about it with myself because I think part of that is the neurodivergence. So like,
gotcha, yeah.
I have to like rehearse things before I do the real thing a lot of the time. So like when I first moved here, whenever I first had a car, I would do like rehearsal drives to places so that I could feel more comfortable when there's traffic. So I would like do that late at night. I failed my first driving test because of my anxiety. I was like, oh, this is so much pressure. But I do a lot of the rehearsal things. And I noticed because I have my kids and they're neurodivergent. I'm like, that's a thing that helps some of them with things is like, if I know what to expect and I know what the like social rules are of the space, if I know even like knowing how people dress and are expected to act. So it's like a lot that causes me anxiety. It's basically everything. It's like how hot, how cold.
Yeah.
Food wise, am I gonna know when I'm gonna be able to eat and drink and go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
It's everything.
I have like anxiety on a lot of things too. Like I have issues going to like any kind of like it's weird. I have the most basic. Like I can do crazy things. I can go up on a stage and talk in front of people. I can do all that stuff. Doesn't bother me. But if you were like, hey, you need to go and renew your driver's license at the DMV, that is like a tremendous like doom await over my body.
This explains why I do all the paperwork here.
So I feel like I'm going to walk. I have tremendous fear that I'm going to walk in the DMV and then be like, oh, hold on a second, and then they'll call the police and the police will show up and I've got like several warrants, just in my head, Yeah. Or, just anything like that. Like just minor little, like if I had to go to, I don't know. Like I love that I can do a lot of things online. Mm-hmm. Like I can go renew my driver's license online. I could do all that online because it's like over and quick. And recently I had to take a huge exam. I had to go out of state to California and go sit a week in a class and then take this exam that was extremely hard. And the thing that was really fucked up is like at the end of the exam, I was pretty sure I failed it. And it was all on like a computer in this classroom thing. And like I'm clicked into the test. And then before it would tell me I passed, I had to go through a survey. And I had to fill out this survey about the test. And it was like 8 pages of fucking survey shit before it would go fail or pass. Whoa. And I was like, whoever did this is a real piece of shit, And I ended up passing it, and it was like
But you took so long to
Oh
get the
my
results.
It was like every like bad 80s movie where they, you know, they build the tension on stuff like that. I was like, this is fucked up. But yeah.
It's like purgatory.
What the fuck? I don't know if I'm male or female. I don't know. I'm not. Am I a veteran? I don't know. You know, just pissed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting for me to hear like other people, you know, and it's interesting and it's helpful to hear, you know, I'm not the only one that has different, you know, like, you know, I know people have anxiety. They're like, well, you know, I'm afraid of death and I'm afraid of like, you know, public speaking. Well, all right, cool. But, you know, I'm afraid to go get my driver's license renewed, you know?
Well, I was really afraid.
For example.
This is really... I was very embarrassed when I told someone about this, but I was really afraid to go through the car wash because...
no, that is...
like the car wash where they like provide some service, like not a self-serve car wash. I was like... Man, that was really hard for me to get through. I was so proud of myself when I was like, man, I conquered this. I can go through the car wash now.
I went to the car wash yesterday. And I want to tell you how you are correct on feeling this way because I feel this way. So, like, I got a new car, and it was like, when you wash the car, fold the light, the mirrors. And first of all, I hate when you go up to, like, I like the Mr. Car Wash, but I hate that they have to come out and help you put your card in. Like, I know how to work the card thing, you know.
I don't know why they do that. I think there's some purpose.
I think they're trying to upsell you, but
they're like, tip us more. I don't know.
But then for me, the anxiety, I'm like, I've got to line the tire correctly with that little tray.
Like, what happens if I don't do this right? And then I'm like crashing through the side of the car wash.
Are they paying attention? Are they watching me drive up? Are they paying attention? They better be paying attention. Fuck, I did not fold the mirrors in. Fuck, it's already started.
Gotta let it go.
And I'm just like,
okay, so other people have this weird irrational fear.
Yes. And I'm like, is it going to rip the mirrors off the car?
Is it
going to rip the mirrors off the car? Please don't rip the mirrors off the car.
I don't know what the pattern is of what causes me more anxiety. I feel like if it has more rules that are available for me to know, like tests are easier for me because I'm like, there's a set of rules of things that I know are supposed to happen. You go, you do the thing, it ends, you know?
Yeah. I feel like the worst thing for me is like when I'm in a situation where, like, you're like at work and there's a training and there's a bunch of people in the training thing, and like you thought you like paid attention, you understand, and then like everybody like flips the page at the same time, and you're like, oh, was I supposed to flip the page at the same time? What page did everybody just go to? Like, wait a minute, and then you're like trying to like look at the teacher's, the trainer things, like the thing that's on the screen. Why don't I know where that is? And then you finally find it. You're like, you know, I hate that. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
See, then this doesn't bother me, but I'm like if I'm not following, then I will speak up and say like, I'm not following this.
Oh,
but
wow, I'm not.
It's more of a like it's more important for me to know what the pattern is then I could get past the anxiety if it's like helpful for me to know the pattern.
Right. Oh,
sometimes
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like, okay, if you're doing it this way, then like analytically I could see how other people are keeping up now. So it is kind of like that mirroring thing is like, if I'm not understanding how they're getting there, I need to find a way to get there so I can not be so behind. But
yeah,
that
makes sense. So with that, like, so you do stand-up comedy, which is a very solo endeavor. So how is it that you can go do music where you're like in a band? Like, how is that dynamic different?
Oh, I love doing stuff with other people.
Yeah.
I really like doing improv. Made me feel like it's not stand-up with people, but it's a group effort. And the thing that I love about improv is that there was a huge level of trust that you need to be able to do improv well with your people. And so I think that's what it is in music. So it's like, that's why I'm not as anxious at all. Maybe not at all, but I'm not as anxious with music as I am with stand-up, because you're in a group of people that you trust. Like, you get so close that you sense things with them and you're doing it together.
Yeah. If you have chemistry, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't stay if I didn't have the right chemistry,
Oh,
you
okay.
know? So it's like, you know, you don't want to force that relationship.
No.
It is like I joke that it's like one of the longest relationships I ever had is like being in that band. So Wounded Silence, we'll say, I believe they're going to plan on continuing on as Wounded Silence. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about you? You gonna go and do some other musical endeavor?
Probably not right now, but I do add music to my comedy. That's what
Okay.
I've been kind of working on right now. So
Like you're a guitar
that's
comic
funny.
now?
I mean, is that a thing?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
Is
that's
it like
definitely a
guitar
thing.
comics specifically? Well,
Yeah.
if you've heard my stand up, I do my little a cappella songs
Yeah.
in there already.
I was just messing because like Adam Sandler and like there's been some guitar comics.
Yeah. So, yeah, I am learning to play guitar so that I can do that and writing songs. So,
Okay.
yeah, my
What was the-
little silly songs.
Oh,
I've done a few.
Stephen Lynch.
Stephen Lynch.
Yeah. I may be wrong on that, but I think that's
I don't
right.
think I know
He was
Stephen
a big
Lynch.
guitar comic.
I like to say musical comedian, but I didn't realize it was like specifically guitar comic.
There's a few.
Because like, yeah.
I knew what he was talking
Bill
about.
Burnham.
He's all guitar comics. I'm like, mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
Bo-
it's like a
yes.
whole genre.
Yeah, Bo Burnham's definitely like
Yeah, Bo
yeah,
Burnham.
Bill Burnham is what I thought of. But it's like he does piano and stuff too.
Yeah,
Kristen Key.
I don't want to play the Stephen Lynch song, but well, maybe we'll play it later, but because it'll flag it in YouTube. YouTube will be like,
Okay.
you're stealing copyrighted material, and I'll be like, I was just, you know.
All right, should I bring out my notebook? I need to take notes now.
Even if you have like the people's permission, they still will not. It's weird.
Oh yeah, they're like, we don't care.
Yeah. Sorry.
That doesn't supersede what they already told us, and that is no one gets this ever.
It's the AI that's doing it for them, and then
yeah, it's very weird like that, right? I think Brody's gonna fall asleep with you right there.
oh, perfect. My
So-
dog's gonna be so jealous.
Which do you prefer, music or comedy?
I mean, doing both. I guess guitar comedy. If I love incorporating music into comedy. I think it was really fun that I was able to do that for the You're Wrong show.
Oh, nice.
And that came kind of natural. I didn't know what I was going to do for that show, but then preparing for that, I ended up finding a puppet, and then I had my puppets do the singing, Dr. Melody. So that was really fun. So I had her do like the little song clips, or I mean, a cappella
I have a
song
puppet.
clips. Yeah.
That was made for me,
It's so creepy.
isn't it?
It's creepy. He has a puppet of himself.
They made it for the Badass Cult podcast made this for me, and it's me. Is that not weird? With a wrestling belt, yeah.
Oh
And-
yeah.
yeah. Isn't that wild?
It's
Yeah.
custom. Do you feel like it's a true likeness?
It's pretty close. Maybe what you could do is you could become the first. Maybe there's, and I say this, and I'll probably be inundated with like, you idiot. You could be the first keytar comic.
Oh, that's like learning another instrument. Well, I used to play trumpet in band, and I'm like, that doesn't really lend to doing jokes.
You're all. Anyway, I was walking.
Recorder, and
I was walking down the street the other day.
it's like a blues song.
It might be fun.
On
I mean, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I haven't played in years, but yeah.
You played the trumpet?
I played trumpet. I played French horn. Yeah,
Wow. Oh, you were in band.
I was in band. Yeah.
Nerd.
Oh, I
Just
mean,
kidding.
if that wasn't obvious already,
I'm
then
teasing. Band nerd. So yeah, where did are you from New Mexico?
I am from New Mexico, Santa Rosa, New Mexico.
Oh.
Small town, Santa Rosa.
See, you're like me. I'm from Clovis, Portales. So we're like that other. We're towards the eastern part.
Yeah.
So I guess the Blue Hole.
Blue Hole, yeah.
Oof.
World famous Blue Hole.
It's funny to me because you start talking about the Blue Hole, and you can tell when people have never been there. They're like, "Yeah, man, I heard it's big." I'm like, "It's deep. It's not wide."
That's the diving thing, right?
Yeah.
Like where you get your diving
Oh, yeah,
certifications.
yeah.
It's actually kind of like in a way a little creepy.
It is very creepy.
Yeah.
My mom used to tell us
Yeah.
horror stories about
Oh yeah.
It's water spelunking, basically, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds terrifying. I
Well,
have nightmares like that.
Absolutely.
There's a big billboard next to it that tells you how to fight the bends if you get the bends. So when she's talking about blue hole, she grew up in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Like if you want to learn how to scuba dive in New Mexico, you're going to end up at some point in the blue hole. Most likely, that's like
that's where you get that's where you get the certification.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew a guy that was one of the ones that put in the metal netting.
It's like a grate at the
grate,
front.
yeah. And you can go on YouTube and watch the video. I don't recommend it, but like the two master divers, they were master divers that went down there, filmed, and one didn't come out. Like he died down there. I was like, Jesus. Like they have it on YouTube. It's like, because you get down in it, and that was before they put the grate, you know.
Yeah, I think there's been times where they've removed it, and
or maybe
then
that's what it
people
was.
have had passed
Yeah.
away
Yeah.
due to getting stuck in caves down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Because
definitely...
it like I guess the other guy was talking about it. You get vertigo, like you don't know
You don't know
what's
which
up or
way's up.
down.
yeah, or left or right, and like the other guy got lost and couldn't figure out if he was going towards back,
Deeper into the caves
Yeah.
or back to the surface.
but and then supposedly it like ends up in like Carlsbad Caverns, but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
It's part of the legend.
But it's like super cold. Like it'll
Oh
be
yeah, it
it'll
stays
be,
the same temperature
Yeah.
all year round, so
Yeah.
it doesn't freeze. Yeah, it stays the same temperature all year round, and it's cold, and the water feels heavy.
and there's probably sharks in there.
There's
That's-
definitely goldfish. I've seen goldfish in there.
I have
That's what takes them down.
I do not like
those evil goldfish.
I'm like I have a fear of sharks, and I thought sharks were like the big one, and then like I saw a video the other day of a great white getting killed by an orca, and it was terrifying, and I was like, well, now I'm afraid of orcas.
Why do you think they're called killer whales?
I know.
They're like,
I know.
whatever, shark.
I thought
It's
maybe
in the name, bro.
I
I
just thought it was
Killa.
It wasn't just a moniker.
he's all hey, what's up?
Hey,
I
killer.
just wanted to let you know.
Who did you think we were, Holmes? Yeah. It's in the name. Oh, that's awesome. But so you're just gonna take music and this integrate it in your comedy. You're probably not gonna do a band again. You don't think?
I will when I have more time.
Yeah.
I think once I
I'll have an hour today. Let's start a band.
it's like a commitment. I think if somebody were willing to like work with my schedule a little better, because I
Yeah.
think we were really strict about having practices like every weekend, and then like half of that I have to pay for a sitter to do practice.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, if maybe I could do something that's every other weekend, and that if things got harder, that I could step away from for a while, and there's not a huge consequence of like people getting really upset about us not being able to practice. I think it would be a doable thing. But right now I like being able to do it in my own time at home whenever I want to, and then step away when other things get more overwhelming. Like I can do it on my own time. And then the best part, I got really excited. The best part about it is I've been writing some of the songs with one of my kids,
Oh yeah.
because him and I do a lot of like little riffing at home. We just kind of are sitting around, and then we'll just start singing something, and then I'm like, oh, let's make a song with that. And he's like, yes. And so we'll just kind of like,
Wow.
so him and I are like,
You don't have a lot of downtime in your life, do you? I feel like you don't like downtime.
yeah, I mean, then I have to sit with myself and my thoughts. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I get that. I get that too.
No, yeah. I don't know. I just feel like I'm trying to be productive, and I'm trying to, I'm a hustler.
You're talking to someone who's with you right there. I get it, man.
I think it's in my genes. I think my dad was very similar as well. Like he had like multiple businesses, and he taught. And,
yeah. I explain it to people. They're like, "Well, how do you do all those things?" I'm like, I don't know any other way.
Yeah, it's kind of like obviously I didn't consciously choose to like just write songs. It just kind of happens, you know?
Yeah.
It's like organically, and then I'm like, okay, write that down.
Are you like clocking down the time when your oldest kid's like old enough to take care of the other ones? You're like, all right, guys, I'm gonna leave the house. I'll be back. He's in charge.
I think
Or
it'll
they are in
take them a
charge?
little longer than
They're in charge. No.
Yeah, it's gonna take longer. Like when my daughter's like ready to be in charge, then
Oh, wow.
she's the youngest. I'm like, okay, I'll be good.
That won't be a point of contention.
It's a different time. It's a different generation.
Yeah.
They're like, you're 7. Here's your house key. That's what I remember.
Here's your house key.
Yeah.
The 44 mag. You know, if someone steps through that door, that's not me.
I'm going to leave. If someone comes to
Take
the
'em
door,
down.
just duck down and pretend you're not there.
Yeah.
All right. Works for me.
I used to do that. Yeah. I remember like my parents not being at home and someone rang the doorbell. I was like, and I like hid. I like laid under the coffee table.
I think I still do that when somebody's at the door that I don't expect.
No,
Like
This
a
is it.
reflex, isn't it?
This is it.
Oh my gosh, somebody's at the door. I don't know. I get a lot of like solicitors. I need to put up a sign. I will not answer. The
What
door.
neighborhood?
I'm hiding behind the couch.
What neighborhood do you live in? My neighborhood, the only solicitors I get is somebody that's like, "Can I have some water?"
But,
You specifically have no neighbors.
Yeah.
That's why
I'm
you
like-
got this place.
Yeah, I drove by like a couple of times and
Yeah.
missed it coming through.
But I have like people that'll be like, "Can I have some water?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." And then you gotta leave. So,
They just come by and ask for water.
sometimes, yeah.
I
It's
definitely think that my dad and I have done that before.
My favorite was one time these people came and they were clearly, soliciting.
There for the marathon.
No, they were those motherfuckers. So they were
I don't know
clearly soliciting for a church,
You're right. Okay.
but a church where they only spoke Spanish. And so they came to the door, and I answered the door, and I was like, what can I help you with? And they're like, speak of Spanish? I was like, no. And then they like looked into the house. Someone speak Spanish? I was like, no. And I was like, tell me about God, though. And then they like took off, and I felt bad for them because they were like trying to, they probably were like, we're in a Spanish speaking neighborhood. Probably, if we go to this house, then we'll probably tell them about God and Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like I could tell they were like, like they were looking.
They did not expect you. They did not expect to see you.
No.
Surprise!
Large white guy. They're like, what the hell?
That's me at work.
Yeah.
All my customers come up and they're like, no. I'm like, nada.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh.
Okay, do not. And then
Go talk to them over there.
I had a guy come one time and he needed water. He needed water for his truck, and it had overheated.
Oh, that's why you asked for water. Okay, I was kind of
No,
confused.
sometimes people come by and we'll just want water.
Okay.
Like,
They're like, this guy's got water.
Houseless, yeah. So, they're like, hey, I'll can you give me some water? I'm like, sure. I'll give him water. I think I have bottles of water sometimes, and I'll just hand them to him.
Oh, okay.
I'll give him a couple. I'll be like, here you go. But, like, I had an incident where someone did that, and then they stayed in the front yard, and they started throwing rocks, and I thought they were going to smash out my window. So I always ask people, I'm like, sure, I'm going to give you the, but then
But
you
you
have to
gotta
go.
go.
Yeah, you can't stay here and do whatever you're going to do, But that's how it goes.
Yourself.
Keep your rocks. No digging in my front yard.
If you want to get your rocks off, go somewhere else.
Exactly.
There's a park across the street. You can throw rocks over there. I'm pretty sure that's what it's there for.
Right. Exactly. Just go do that. What was the first place you did comedy?
Like a show?
In front of people, yeah.
It was Dry Heat.
Really?
It was Dry Heat was my first show.
Other than the garage.
That was not a show. That was an open mic. I don't know
Yeah.
if to even call it that. It was more of an open mic at the
Yeah.
garage. But yeah, Dry Heat was my first show. And I remember telling Kelly, I don't think I'm ready. And Kelly's like, no, you're ready.
She's like,
you
"You
should
got
do
this."
it. You should do this. So, man, I was like, maybe I should have a drink before I go. Like, maybe it'll like make me less stressed out. So I had like a little bit of a drink before I went up, and then my stomach hurt so bad, and I was like, oh, something was in that drink. This is awful. Like, I feel so sick. I did my set, and then I went to the bathroom because I felt like I was gonna throw up, and then I was like, oh, this is anxiety. This was not the drink. This was my anxiety.
Yeah.
It was like I was so nervous, but yeah, I felt like it went well, and it was a good first time, a good place to do a first time show.
Do you still get anxiety when you go on stage?
Not to that extent anymore.
Not like, not what do you call it, stage fright?
I still get nervous, but the improv, I think, was where I had my turning point,
Interesting.
and I started to get more comfortable. I mean, people will see me pacing in the back, and I think the more comfortable I am with the jokes I plan to do, the easier it is. But if somebody's like, oh, can you come on? Like, if I'm just there and they're like, oh, can you come and do 5 or whatever? Like, that's like, oh, okay, do you have 5? Yes, I have 5. Okay, calm down. Know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah.
Well, and like, it always cracks me up because like, you can tell when you're at a show, people who are like the family of or like friends of, it's like the one thing you don't do is you don't go up to the performer before the show and start just small talking with them.
Right.
You just don't do it.
Not
like,
even for music stuff
fuck
do I like
no.
that. 'Cause
no one does.
After, fine.
Yeah.
But or like we used to do the 3-hour sets, like in between breaks, I'm fine to chit chat, but like not at the very beginning when you're trying to set everything
and
up.
I've been guilty of it because I remember I walked up to Sarah and I was talking to her before something. She's like, she looks up and she gives me that look and I went, oh, walking away. Sorry.
Yeah.
I knew. I was like, oh, no, my bad. I'm a dumbass. Because we do stuff and like we used to do a live show every Sunday at a bar. And I would be like the hour leading up to the live show, I would be setting up all the equipment. And it was like more than this. This is like refined down, technology is advanced. And so it would take every bit of 45 minutes to an hour to get that set up. And people come up, hey, Chris, how's it going? How's your family? And Billy would, the other co-host who used to be with us, he would kind of run interference.
Okay.
And Smiley, because I'd be like, get away from me.
Yeah, Chris is setting up the show right now. Yeah. Maybe you should find a seat, or have you met the bartender?
Have you got a drink yet? Yeah. Leave him alone.
Once he gets it set up, I'll take over, and then he can do the rest of his job.
And it's in recent years, because I do commentary for wrestling and I do all kinds of different things. And in recent years, it's kind of gotten to where I can handle it, but yeah. But I know not to do it. I know not to do it. Yeah.
It depends on the kind of thing, like what, yeah.
Like an open mic, you see like the comedian and they have like their little book or their whatever, or their notepad or whatever they have, because they all have one. And and then you see the one that's there that doesn't have one, and then they say the racist, stupid stuff. And but like you'll see them like in their mind, like they're going through it. They're doing their set. They're like practicing their hitting the bullet points, whatever they do, Yeah. And so it's interesting to me, like when someone will walk up, they're all, hey, good to see you, and then they're like, fuck, like
what was I gonna do? I forgot what I was gonna do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting. Yeah. We're going to take a little break here at this juncture so we can, use the restroom and reset up. And then we're going to go into the Billy/Wavy Hour where we just kind of have fun and just, I have some fun things I watched today on TV that I'd like to talk about that are New Mexican. What do you have coming up that people can go and check out? Or
I don't have anything booked in the next month. I'm spending some time to finish a D&D campaign that's been going on for 3 years.
Oh wow, that's a
so
commitment.
That's the
right
big
there.
epic thing that I'm trying to finish in April. But I do have some stuff that's for a little bit further out that, but they can check out my website. I post my stuff on my website at lekacomedy.com.
Nice.
I keep that up to date with all the shows I have
at Leka at Leka Comedy on Instagram.
Yeah, Leka Comedy on Instagram. Yep. So you can check out my website for any new stuff coming up.
I'm trying to think. What do I have coming up? I got a bunch of stuff. Here we go. April. Let's see. Smiley, got anything going on?
No, I don't think so.
April 9th at Inside Out. I'm going to be bringing the legendary WWE former champion Mick Foley will be in town. I'll be bringing him up on stage, and I think we're going to do a Q&A. I'm not sure exactly, but show up. I'll be there. I'm on the flyer. I got put on the flyer. I was like, yes.
Finally.
Then April 11th through the 13th, Smiley and I will be in El Paso, Texas for El Paso Comic-Con.
Yep.
I got hit up by the promoter today. He's like, are you still good to do? I always love when you talk about anxiety. Like you sign up for something and then and they're like, oh cool, and then you go and you get your hotel room and you have everything ready to go, and then a month later they're like, are you still good to do this? You're like, well, I hope so.
Right.
I hope you didn't replace me with anybody because I've already booked all this shit. And he's like, oh no. He's like, yeah, just making sure. And I found out today that I only have to do Saturday, Smiley. So Sunday we can not only leave, but like earlier in the day, if we want to go do,
we
check,
can do stuff.
Yeah, we could do some stuff, drive back at night or whatever. But yeah, and some of the people at El Paso Comic-Con that I will be doing a panel for are Sean Gunn, Vincent D'Onofrio, and Patrick Warburton. So
I want to be at I'll be there.
Yeah,
that's right. I will be there.
You will be there.
You're going
You're
to
planning
be,
on it.
You're actually going to be working. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, I know. I guessed that one. Hey, you want to go to this with me? And I'm like, I'm backup, aren't I? I am.
Yeah.
All right. No. Got it.
And then let's see. What else do I have? I don't know if I want to promote anything else right now. We have, in June, we'll be in Houston for Comic Palooza.
Yep.
So keep an eye out for that.
10 drink minimum on tour.
Oh, okay. May 24th, and I need to add this to our ads thing. We are one of the media sponsors for Pridezilla at Tractor Brewing, and I'm gonna do something that I don't know yet. They were like, would you be a part of this? And I was like, sure. And they were like, oh my God, really? And I was like, why would I not? So, and then we're gonna sign up Leka to do comedy for that.
Pridezilla, I love to do that. Yeah.
I'll ask him.
Heck yeah.
I'll be all, do you guys need any comedians?
I'm like, do you need somebody to be? Yeah, I'll do stuff. What do you need me to do?
I don't know, but I was like, and it was funny because like they asked me, and I said yes, and they were like shocked I said yes to it. I guess I was like, I don't know why I would have not.
Do they
yes.
not know what we do?
Yeah, I'm pretty nice about things, but yeah, we're now one of the media sponsors for Pridezilla, so I'm stoked about
Hell
that.
Yeah,
nice.
But yeah, we're gonna take a break. Do you have a spot? Do you have a SoundCloud for your band? No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was like sometimes people do, and I have a go-to one, so I just figured people are getting tired of it. Because, like, if you play stuff off of other stuff, if it's on CD Baby, it'll flag it in YouTube. It's all about that YouTube bull crap. By the way, Facebook is going to stop keeping our videos after 30 days. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Smash that like and subscribe, please.
Yeah,
and,
otherwise you won't be able to see all our classic shenanigans.
Yep. I mean, you will. You'll have to go to YouTube, and you won't get a notification, and you'll be a loser. And who wants to be a loser? I'm just kidding. Not me. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back with that.
We are 10 drink minimum.
Oh man, we're back. It's the Billy / Wavy Hour, and this is 10 Drink Minimum. We are sponsored by the Topo Chico Hard Seltzer. Smiley, you drink this, right?
I drink this all the time.
Just laying around? You just lay around your house drinking it?
No, usually when I'm out and about. When I'm out and about, or if I have company over. It's really delightful.
You have a cool, refreshing
situation.
Topo Chico Seltzer.
I love that.
We have comedian musician Leka with us today. Man, you want to hear what I heard this week about myself? You ever have like one of those moments where somebody brings something up and you're like, oh. So like I do the wrestling commentary, right? Mm-hmm. And we film it and we put it on it goes on TV. It's going to go on Saturday mornings now on whatever the NBC affiliate is.
Really?
Here? Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then we put it on YouTube, so it's on YouTube, right?
I believe that's KOB, right?
I think so. Yeah, probably. So
I watch more network television. I watch broadcast television.
So Saturday morning wrestling, I'll be like part of that in Albuquerque now, like the history of that, which is to me also like one of those like wow kind of things, But we became an affiliate of the National Wrestling Alliance, which is like the oldest wrestling organization in the United States, which is also owned by, do you know who owns it?
No.
Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins owns it. He bought it. He's a huge wrestling fan. So the owner the other day, this is Thursday, it's opening day, and I'm at Rio Bravo Brewing, watching baseball with him. And he's like, yeah, I was in Dothan, Alabama last weekend with the, because that's where the NWA was. And he goes, I was sitting with Billy, and we were watching the product, and he likes you. And I was like, I'm sorry. Billy Corgan watched me do commentary and liked it. And he goes, yeah. In which, you know, some of the stuff he didn't like. So he definitely was not just like, oh, cool. So he liked some things about some people. He liked me. He said I was good. I was like, oh.
Little old me.
Exactly. Yeah. So that happened this week.
Nice.
Wow, dude.
I know. I was like, that's
That
fucking
is fantastic.
dope.
That's one of those nice little things. You're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll hold that in my heart.
I know, right? Well, he has like a TV show on Amazon Prime, Billy Corgan's Adventures in like Carneyland or something like that, where, you know, he goes through, like, he just got married.
Okay.
And so in the first season, like, they're planning the wedding, and then he's like owns this wrestling federation, and then he's also doing music at the same time. So he's like us, where he's just got fucking 20 things going on, you know. And you know, it's cool to watch it. I feel it's very early 2000s reality TV.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where you're like, they're like, this is what their life is like on a day-to-day basis. And you're like, I don't think it is. But, you know, like the Osbournes or whatever.
I was going to think like the Osbournes. You're like, I don't believe this for a second. But it's
Very
entertaining.
Yeah.
I'll still watch it, though.
I think that's how I feel about Love is Blind now that they came out with the newer seasons.
Is that show good?
Oh my gosh. I have an obsession, but it's bad. It's so bad. Like, me and a few of the comedians had the pod squad because we watched it, and then we would comment on it. So I think it's more like drama. You want to get all like the back details, especially at the reunion shows. It's like you get all kinds of backstory. I think the casting has changed. I think like the first season had like something special to it, and then the contestants have bigger and more, you know, wild backstories.
They get stupid. Like, they get stupid with it, and you're like, okay, why did you have to do that?
Yeah.
Like, so there was a reality show, and I can't think of what it was called, on they did one season so far on Netflix, and I don't know if they're doing another one, but like, I'll tell you why. Like, I'll watch some real fucking dumpster fire shit TV. I will, and I'm in it. Like, I love The Challenge. I love that show. But like, they did this one, and I can't think of what it's called. But it was like they put 13 people in a house, and they were like, "You guys are gonna win $800,000. You've already won it. You've already won it. If every single one of you at the end of this time period is here, you all split it. But every day we're gonna have a vote, and if one person votes, like if everyone,
that's how you do elimination.
Yeah, every day they would do an elimination, and if everyone votes to not kick anyone off, no one leaves. But like, say everyone votes 0, and one person votes to kick someone off, the person they vote to kick off is gone. And then the pool.
That's a lot of power. If you had like,
yes.
Oh gosh.
But the thing that was great about it was like there was like there was some attractive people, but then there was like the middle-aged woman in her like 50s. Then there was an elderly woman who was like 70 something years old in the house. Like, I was like, well, this is fucking kind of all right, you know. And at one point, the old lady, like the 70-something-year-old, like if you did well in like something, you got to go to this room, and there was they gave you two ultimatums, and if you had to go to that room, you had to take one or the other. And like the ultimatum would be, you get like one of, like, for example, it would be like you get 5,000 of the dollars, but you can't tell anybody that you got it. And then the other like thing, like, and they had to choose one or the other, would be you get $10,000, but you have to vote someone out on the next thing. And it was like just fucked up like that.
Like,
right?
There's not a good choice there.
There was not a, yeah.
Oh gosh.
And so there was all this, and it was like, and there was like this cowboy guy, and of course he was like the most pure of heart guy. He was like, he couldn't lie to anyone, and he's like, I want everyone to stay, and I want us to share this money. And he's like, I want to buy a ranch and take care of my family. And like by the end of it, like he was like the nicest guy, and like it was cool to see, because there was like definitely like the attractive like asshole people, and they're like, well, they think they're gonna get one over on me, they ain't gonna get nothing over on me. And by the end of it all, I was like, okay, I went on a lot of roller coasters in this season, and I'm in it. But there's a new one on Netflix where, have you seen this, where it's like a millionaire one where like a bunch of people are in a house and one person goes in their room and they have $1 million in their room, and then they're not allowed to tell anyone, and everyone has to try to figure out who the millionaire person is.
So it's like Clue.
Yeah, but the person who has the $1 million has to like fool them or they don't get it. And I'm like, I don't know all the rules, but I was like, today I was watching it and I was like, okay.
I watched that show, The Circle, and it was like everybody, like there's some catfish and they try to figure out who the catfish is. It sounds similar in it. So are they like, they interact in person outside of the room?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know what I watched today? I was Legoing and I had something on TV.
Let go.
So do you remember, I mean, I'm sure everyone, the guy from Santa Fe that buried the treasure in the Rockies. And, and then told everyone, he's like, I buried treasure in the Rockies, like $1 million worth of treasure in the Rockies. You ever heard about this? It was on the news a lot.
Okay.
So
I'm aware. It was.
I was like, never gonna get it. I'll just move on with my life.
Yeah, this is where I'm going. So I knew about it. Like, I think we talked about that on this podcast a couple times.
We have.
Because people died looking for this thing. Yeah, fuck yeah, they did. So Netflix just released a documentary about it. And it's like, I think it's like 3 or 4 episodes. I watched it today. I had it on and I watched it today. And, maybe you don't want me to spoil what I'm going to go through in this, but like what blows my mind. So the guy is like he was a retired, like Santa Fe, like art dealer, really wealthy. You know, they were like, some of his clients were Susan Sarandon and blah, 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 and Johnny, like all these like famous people. And he dealt in all these like, so he was, we all know Santa Fe, so he had the money. And part of it was like clearly that he wanted a little bit of like, he's
trying to start some drama.
Well, here's the fucked up thing. So he wrote a memoir and he was like, no one's going to read it. So he buried the treasure and then put the clues in his memoir.
So people would buy the memoir.
And then the memoir was $100. Right?
Pay to play.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of the dudes is like, I didn't have no money. He's like, I went to the library. I said, you guys got a copy of this book? And they were like, yeah, but you can't take it out of here. He's like, can I use a copier?
Right.
And he copied every page.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's what I did all through college.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. And
I didn't own any of those books. Can I borrow this for an hour?
So I'm watching this thing, and there's like all these different people like that they follow, and there's like this woman who's retired, and she's like, I'm not doing it for the money, I'm doing it for the adventure. And I'm like, well, I don't like you. And then there's like the nerd guy that's like, well, I just need to use science and I can figure this out. And I was like, all right, you're not too bad. But then there's like the redneck family, and they're like, we ain't ever had no money. And like my wife's like, I'm going to divorce you because you won't stop doing this. He's like, but you'll come around when I have the money. And I was like,
bringing families together.
I'm kind of invested in these people. And Duke City Warriors in the chat. Hello, how are you? But what really blew my mind is like how it blew up and it became a real big thing, not to us because we don't have the fucking time to go to the Utah and Wyoming and fucking.
I mean, we literally have like the Rockies right here, but we're like, I bet he didn't just throw it right there.
He did not.
It couldn't be that easy.
He said it's in the Rockies. Duke Sayware says, I'm good. How are you? We are all doing well. But so they follow all these people, and I started to figure out like what they had done when they did this documentary. They like went through and like probably interviewed a lot of people, and were like, okay, these are the people that have
made the cut for the
compelling
show.
Stories. Yeah. And so the thing that's crazy is like they all, and like some come in later into the documentary, and every one of them, like, it's kind of interesting, like every one of them has an idea of where it's at, and it all makes sense. And you're like, and they're like, see, I know, and look at this map, boom, boom, boom. He's doing these clues, and by the end of the whole thing, like, you start to realize how fucking obsessed people become, and how something very like literally they're like, well, I heard about it the first time he was on Good Morning America, and then like seeing these people go from that they heard that on there to this is like consuming every single moment of their life that they're not at work, or they're losing their job because they're like, or some of them lost their lives. And it was kind of crazy because like there's the people that died. One of them for sure was ill prepared, and he like bought his like canoe at Walmart, and he went out with his like Pomeranian, and was like going through the woods, and he got lost. They found the dog. The dog lived, and the guy didn't. And they went to the original guy, and like they have like the head of the state police of New Mexico on this documentary, and he's like they're trying to get the rich guy to like recant all this and go get the treasure and call it all off, right? And that rich guy's like, well, he's like, if people went out and they weren't prepared, he's like, as Americans, you should know how to what you're supposed to go. If you're gonna go out in the wild, you should know what you're doing. I mean, that's not on me. And I'm like, goddamn, dude. Buried $1 million.
Sign a waiver, I guess.
Yeah. But like, then another guy like was searching for it, and I guess couldn't find it, so he shot himself. I mean, that one's a little, And then so him and his brother both were looking for it. So then they show the brother, and the brother's like, well, after his death, I thought, well, how do I honor him? I keep looking for the treasure. And it's like just the obsession that these people have. It's insane, right? So then, like, I think we talked about it on this podcast when they found it. So someone found it.
Okay,
right?
so it did exist at least.
Well, hold on. So then some people, it gets so insane that, like, some people start to believe that the treasure is not actually a box full of jewels and stuff. This guy starts believing that it's the dude's granddaughter. So starts stalking the granddaughter in Santa Fe. They have to get...
Wait a second. That the daughter is the treasure?
The granddaughter of the old man.
A human being.
Yeah.
That is why. No, that's creepy.
And starts going to their house. They get restraining orders. They extradite him to Las Vegas. He gets out.
New Mexico.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Nevada. Right. No, I know. Yeah.
That's a good differentiation, because I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's not very far though.
Yeah.
He gets out and immediately like cuts his ankle bracelet off, the what do you call it, the tracker, and they have state troopers at the border in New Mexico waiting for him, and they catch him, and he has like a fucking machete and all the shit, like just fucked up shit. And I'm like, and it's crazy. It starts getting like intense, like how people are like so obsessed that it's not even about the money anymore. It's about this whole thing, right? So then someone finds it after all the death threats. Like the old guy starts getting death threats. His family, what did they say? Someone broke into the house, took a shit in the house, and then like they find him, and he's like drank some of the beers out of the fridge, and he's like I need to find the treasure. He's all, my family needs the money and all this shit, and they have to have him arrested. So it starts kind of really weighing on him. And the old guy, like he was like enjoying the celebrity of it, because he was going on Good Morning. I didn't know this. He was going on Good Morning America like weekly, and giving out a little bit more, like
like clues.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. And he was like really, and like this one guy creates software to put the videos in so he can see the old man's micro transgressions on his face to see if he's lying or telling the truth about the clues he's giving. I'm not kidding how people are fucking like whoop whoop about this, right?
He rolled well on perception with those extra skills.
And I'm like, man, I'm just sitting there watching. It's like one of those things where I was like, oh, that sounds like a good watch while I fucking build a Lego car. And then at the end of it, I'm just like, good God, what in the fuck is wrong with people, right? So then someone finds it. And the guy who finds it, a lot of people are emailing this old man a lot. And one woman is visiting him. And he entertains her as a visitor. It kind of seemed to me really suspect because the old man's married. But like this woman's like, we're just friends and we'd come hang out. And I wasn't there to get clues. And she's like, people said I was cheating and it was all this. And she's like, but life's not fair, you know? And so when the guy finally contacts him that he's found it, they announce it. But they won't announce who the guy is that found it. And they won't announce where he found it. And that turns into a whole nother fucking thing, right? So then there's all these like YouTube podcasts and like online media where they don't believe it. They think the old man's grandson went and got the treasure and just took it because he's so tired of it and he's done with it. So they have to know. Well, so then the woman that goes to visit the old man, she's like, well, one day he hits me up and it's very cryptic and he says, come out and visit me. And she's like, I'm just wanting to know if I can find out what happened here because we need some closure. We need closure. And she goes out and it's like COVID time, so they're sitting apart. And like the old man is like, well, first of all, I'm not going to tell you who found it and where it's at, but it'll all come out in time. And she's like, dang it. And then the old man died 9 days later, right? So then it gets worse. All these people start bothering the old man's lawyer and his son, and they're like, we just don't believe it. And like some people are like outside the gate and they'll confront them and they're like, the treasure in the book, it says the treasure is in the river and the river is in your soul. And like people are doing all this crazy shit outside their house to the point where the family finally says to the guy that found it, I'm sorry, we're going to tell everybody who we are. Fuck it. We can't do this anymore. They tell everybody who he is. Then the people don't believe it. They don't believe that guy was really a searcher, one of them. They're all, who's this fucking guy? So until finally they find his like online name in one of the forums, and they start going through. They start going through all of his like detailed of things that he was looking at, and they figure out that he really was looking for it and that he was the guy. So then they start doing a Mecca trip to where the fucking thing was buried. And I'm going to do a spoiler here.
They want to go through the exercise.
I'm going to do a spoiler. Is it okay?
Yeah.
One of the guys cannot live with it that this happened and that he was not the one that found it. So then one day, he sees that they put the buried treasure, and it's like a box, a wooden box with like an old rusty key, and it's like gold coins and like rubies and like all this shit in there, right? And that's what it was. But it was like $1 million worth of like gold coins and jewels and all this shit, right? So the guy who found it puts it up for auction because he figures out he can make more money. So one of the dudes is like, well, I feel like I couldn't find it, but I can buy it. And he's like, so he goes down there to where the auction place is, and they let him look at it. They let him hold the box. They let him kind of look through it. And he puts a bid on it, and he's like, I'm going to get this. And he goes, you know what? Maybe I'll rebury it. And you're like, okay, cool. And again, spoiler alert for anybody who wants to watch this, stop listening to this right now. He doesn't win. He doesn't win the auction. And he's like, all right. He's like, and then he's like talking to the people that are like all kind of invested, like they've all become this community. He's like, I've got another plan. So at the very end, he makes them the trip to the spot, and he goes, it's the dude who I think his brother shot himself, but he's like, you know, I just wanted to find out where it was and da 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 da. And he's like, and I just want everyone to know, I buried a new box. And it has gold jewels. It has rubies in it. It has coin, you know, all the stuff in it. And it has the bracelet that was owned by the old guy. I got it. It's in the box. And the clues are all in this show you just watched. And I'm like, no, you son of a bitch. And I'm like, God damn it. So I guess we're going to look for some treasure.
Oh no.
I cannot
I don't
believe
need
it.
another obsession.
But it blew my mind, like how fucking like crazy these people get about. Like they were just not willing to accept that it was found. They're like, oh, this just doesn't add up, and like what people will create in their brain of what adds up and what does not. You know,
It keeps making me think of the guy that wrote the book because he thought his dad was the Zodiac killer.
Oh yeah.
And then he wrote multiple books, and they were like equally like obsessed whenever that felt like there was like a closure where it's like,
yeah.
not
That-
really that. So
Are you into like the Zodiac killer?
I listen to like a podcast that's like true crime
Yeah.
focused. So not specifically the Zodiac killer, but like true crime stuff. I have to take it in small doses though, because it can get really dark.
I don't do the true crime thing, but the Zodiac killer thing is a thing for me. Like I love that movie Zodiac.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Then I watched there was a TV show on Learning Channel or something, or History Channel, Catching the Zodiac Killer.
Okay.
They did one season, and it was like a former homicide detective and a former FBI agent, and then they had like a team of computer guys creating an AI. That the AI was based. They were like putting the ciphers in, and they were like putting the clues in, and they were like tooling the AI to like think like the Zodiac killer, which was weird because like at one point, like at 3 a.m, it just like printed out like a poem that it had written, and it was like fucking creepy.
So it like used it learned how to do the cipher and then printed out its own cipher.
And I was like, yeah, this is like a horror movie, and then the AI turned into a serial killer, you know.
Yeah, he was awful.
But they only
pedophile.
did one season, and they cracked like one of the big ciphers, and they found that the Zodiac killer was in more states than they had
that's
thought.
weird.
And then they didn't do a season 2, but I've heard they podcasted it.
Okay.
But I'm not that invested.
I'm like,
Well, say the guy was an asshole. It's like a part of me is like I don't want to invest that much time on a person who's so awful. But I think it's like the mystery, and that's how people get obsessed with this. Is
Right.
like they want to solve the mystery of
Well,
it
yeah.
because he was never caught. That's the
No.
yeah.
I mean, they're pretty sure he's dead, but like
Yeah.
still.
oh, no way, really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can do math.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like it's hard to be a criminal these days.
Well,
it's easier to catch criminals.
I
these
mean,
days.
the other thing too is like that whole DB Cooper thing where they're pretty sure they know all about what he did. He did live, and who was it? Him? Was it him? Yeah, and his kid, like he died or he was dying, something, and like it was like within the last year.
Really? I don't know. I don't have the latest updates on DB Cooper.
Right, like he was dying, and like his kid, he died, and his kids were like, yeah, our dad was we think he was him, and they went and found like all this like pretty much like they were showing it all, and you're
wow.
like, oh
I didn't
shit,
know
yeah,
that.
definitely, it seems like it was him, and because like the police were like, you know, there's no way he could have survived jumping out of that plane, and everybody's like, well, then why didn't you find the body, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, he like lived, you know. There was that one, and then the other one was like the 2 guys, like there was 4 guys that like broke out of Alcatraz,
Okay.
and they were like, "There's no way they survived." But then they found out that there was the 2 guys that one of them there was one guy that was dying, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm one of those guys," and then he outed the other one, and they did live, and like they, you know, and I'm sure there's, you know, speculation that it's not really them, but why would you come out and be like, "Yeah, we were the guys that broke out of Alcatraz"? Like, why would you admit to that? I don't know, but it's kind of crazy, you know, to see that. Maybe we'll find out what happened to
I don't
JFK.
think they can put you back. It's not like it's open anymore.
They can put you somewhere, Smiley.
You're part of the exhibit now.
Yeah, but again, it's like, you know, that mystery. But the thing with life is like, you know, we're getting so much technology, but you're right, it's like harder to have those mysteries anymore. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, but there still will be. Like, people bring up, they're like, I always thought the Bermuda Triangle would be a much bigger thing now as an adult.
It's magnetic fields.
Yeah.
Well, we already do that.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah.
we enjoy the unknown to an
Yeah.
extent. I think that's like we like to watch movies that have the mystery. You don't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people.
Not one of those people.
No.
I want to know exactly what happened. So do you watch a
No.
lot of history type of things then? You're like,
No,
I know
no.
how it ends.
I know how it ends. Everyone dies.
One of my favorite series is it's like the introspections of Mr. Witcher, right?
And what the hell is that?
Well, it's the UK's very first detective, and he's wrong
Oh, okay.
all the time. It's
Really?
4 entire movies of how wrong he is.
Really?
And I'm like, I enjoy mysteries about the characters and the investigator. I don't really care what happened with the crime
the
or
Yeah.
any of that, honestly.
You're along for the ride.
I'm along for the ride, and that's one of my favorite series because he's never right. It is historically true. Like he was like, it's that guy. No, it's that guy. No, it's that guy, and he was
Really?
not right on any of it.
Oh, it's a historical. Okay.
And I don't know. I think I like that. That's more entertaining to me than finding out what happened.
Really?
Because
Interesting.
he never finished any of his crimes. He never solved any of them.
Wow.
But it's very entertaining to watch him fail, like, repeatedly for, like, 4 movies.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I'm like, that must mean do you have a lot of close personal relationships? You care more about the person than like knowing how things end.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I have a lot of friends.
You're like a more personable person than
Yeah.
to an extent. I'm like, does that mean the rest of us are just like in it for the mystery?
How'd that story end? I don't care.
You're like, I just got to know this person. I don't.
Well, in a little bit, part of it to me is like, we get the closure, but then you're like, I wanted to, and then you
you
kind
want
of like,
it to keep going.
yeah, because it's kind of fun, But like now, this dude, I'm kind of like the dude from the Netflix thing. He's like, I buried a new treasure, and it's like, first of all, how do you have the fucking $1 million to buy all the shit? But like,
Well, he said he was gonna, like, if you put in an auction on $1 million
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you must have the money to back it.
well, and some of these people, yeah, they definitely had the money. Like they were like searching for it, but yeah, but like the crazy thing to me was like they kept trying to get the old man to like get to stop it, and at one point he was like, well, it's not fair to people who've like lost all their money and spent all their time for me to just stop it. I was like, it could be.
Maybe he's like afraid of like a bigger retaliation for stopping it.
It
sounds like he has problems either way.
To be honest, yeah.
There's
He had
problems
created
either
it.
way.
And like his grandson they asked him, they're like, would you ever do this? He goes, no. No, 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 no. He's like, absolutely not. After what all our family has gone through. I was like, and yeah. They were clearly like, they hated it. They clearly loved their family member that did it. They clearly loved him, but they were like, done with it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even happy to be on the documentary, really. It's like,
But
really.
they did it. They were there.
But it's crazy. It was like Santa Fe.
Did they ever ask him, like, what he thought the half-life would be on it? Like, how long he thought it was going to last?
Oh, yeah. He said 90 years. No, 900 years. No one will find it for 900 years is what he said.
That seems very arbitrary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a real answer
No.
at all.
But the funny thing too is after it's found, they like go through and talk to all the different parties that like were absolutely sure they knew where it was. And they're all, did I find the treasure? Absolutely. They're all, I found it because I quit doing the Redneck Valley. I'm doing the Redneck Valley. He goes, I got clean. He's like, me and my dad were not good friends, and this made us closer. He got
Smiley, do you like that part of the story? Your face is saying no.
he got divorced, but we're closer as a family. His wife left
the journey.
him. But and then what was it? The one lady, she was like,
No.
she's like, the treasure was the journey, and I was like, you motherfucker, I want to stab you. Oh man, because there was like, there's a funny story. The old lady that was like retired and would go hang out with the guy. Well, he buried this shit like in the Rockies, and she would go out and she was like, I had my bear repellent. She goes, and I heard something in the bushes, and she's like, I ran over and I ducked down and I heard, Shh. She's like, I didn't know what it was, but then I knew right away it was my bear repellent going off in my pants. And she goes, and it hurt a lot. I had to take them off and wash myself off. She's all, but I was out there to find it. I was like, oh my God, man. So I just love like finding shit like that where you're just like, all right, this is a gym. I'm really into this because I remember it happening. I remember when it would be on the news.
There were news reports. It was a local thing because like,
everyone thought it was in New Mexico because he was from here, but it was like, but he was all over the place because he liked fishing. I think they found it up in Yellowstone. It was up in Wyoming, or Utah or Wyoming, because Yellowstone goes through like Utah, Wyoming, and Montana, so it was up there somewhere. But now the people who are invested in it don't want anyone to go to the site. They don't want it disturbed. It's like this hallowed ground for that. It's fucking weird. It's like,
it feels like it would probably be beneficial for them to create like a little shrine and then let people do the thing, but like, hey, I did it for the experience or something like that, not for the gold.
And the thing he did that was really fucked up, it was like he was on like Good Morning America or somewhere, and they were like, has anybody gotten close? And he goes, oh yeah, somebody messaged me and they were about 200 yards from it. And like,
you're like,
there's like like 400 people that are like, it's me. You know, that's all he said.
Okay, so they went 200 yards out from where they last were.
Yep, it's fucked up, man.
Warmer.
Fucked up, but it's crazy to watch like how insane these people got with like it became their whole lives. You know, can you imagine? I'm like, you know what? Go out.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like addicted.
Do you see what we do for a living? No rational person's like, I do this now.
I know. I hear you. It is that way, but it's like why don't you focus all this into making $1 million? You might do it. You know?
I quit all my jobs to be an actor. Like seriously, that's not a rational decision.
Smiley, there is not much rational decision about you.
Thank you.
She shows up and I was like, do you know Smiley? She goes, I don't really know him. I was like, he's been on this show for a long time. I don't really know him. Barely.
I was trying to remember if we had met before.
Yeah.
I think we probably ran into each other like once or twice. But
we run them before at shows.
Yeah. But I was like, I don't know him.
So when you do,
we've been introduced like a couple times here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. When you do comedy and like somebody comes through that's big, do you freak out about it or no?
I do. Yeah. I think it's you don't know how you're going to react to certain people.
Yeah.
Like, and it depends on the person, I guess. So I like to tell this story whenever I met, like, you asked about comedians, but it's a funny story when I met Bryan Cranston.
Oh yeah.
So I went to my friend's, I went with my friend to Il Vicino, downtown, and we were sitting there and he was sitting there and I was like, do you know who that is? She didn't know who it was. So I Googled him and I showed her. I was like, this is him. And she was like, talk to him, say something. I said, I can't. He's like reading a script. He's in the middle of a meal. Like, I don't want to be rude and like interrupt him. Like, let me wait for a good time. So I'm like working up the nerve to talk to him. And then she turns around and she's like, are you Bryan Cranston? And I was like, oh
my God, you did not just do that.
She stood up and he was like, oh yes, I am. And I was like, I dream about your show. And he was like, well, that can't be a bad thing. And we had a really nice conversation and he was really nice, but like, I didn't think to get a photo taken with him. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is like, I missed that opportunity because I was like not prepared. I was so nervous.
Have you,
starstruck.
Do you have Apple TV?
I do have Apple TV.
Have you watched The Studio?
Not yet, no.
Oh, fuck, it's good. He is in it. And he plays the sleaziest piece of shit. Oh yeah, and it's fantastic because it's Bryan Cranston. You're like, this is great.
He's really good.
He plays like because the whole thing is Seth Rogen becomes the president of a studio.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Bryan Cranston is the owner.
Okay.
And he's all I hope you're not one of those artsy fartsy kind of people who wants to make all these art films. He's like, we're here to make money. And he's all, with that, we just signed the Kool-Aid license for the Kool-Aid Man. I want the Kool-Aid movie. There's only been a couple episodes out, and so far it's been one of my favorite things that's come on. And I mean, Bryan Cranston is like a sleazy. He does really good comedy.
He's really
good. And Seth Rogen does really good comedy. You know?
Yeah. Like
modern day comedy that's like woke but not you know, but still really, really good. You know what I mean? Like, you still can laugh at it, and it's crass still-ish. Yeah, I don't know. But, like, you should watch it. It's fun. And it's, like, I love stuff that's, like, behind-the-scenes movie, TV
like
shows.
meta kind of thing.
Meta,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Did you see the show with the making of The Godfather, The Offer?
Okay.
That was like the
Finally.
best. So good.
Leka, thank you. Thank you for coming on this show and actually have seen this show, because I fucking talk about this all the time.
Oh my gosh, I
and
couldn't shut up about it.
Dude, it is so fucking amazing.
It was so good.
So then...
Yeah, he's Forrest Gumped me.
So then I watched that, The Offer,
Watch it.
which is better than watching The Godfather to me. It's like The Godfather, they're kind of slow. But anyway.
They are slow, yeah.
So last year in El Paso, I go with my friend Ming, and we're down there, and he knows the agent for Patrick Warburton, so we end up hanging out with him. And the next day, we're in the fucking Comic-Con area, and up walks fucking Dan Fogler, who's fucking, he plays in The Offer, he's Francis Ford Coppola in The Offer. And he's like, "Bang, did you not get my text last night? I was trying to find where you guys were at to party with you guys." And I'm like, "I loved you in The Offer." And he's like, "Oh, you saw that?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Thank you." I was like, "It's brilliant." And I ended up partying with him that night. He got so high. So weird to me that I'm like partying with this guy from this show, because that show to me is I would like to watch it again.
I was just about to say that. I would watch that again for sure.
It is so
100%.
fucking good, right?
Yeah.
And then I go see A Complete Unknown with Bob Dylan, the Bob Dylan movie, and he's Bob Dylan's manager in the movie.
Okay.
The whole time I'm like, dude, I partied with that guy right there. Like, while he was so baked he could hardly eat the nachos in the weird bar we were at. But like, The Offer, like, it blew my mind how, and I went and Googled a lot of it. And what's his name? Miles Teller, the character he plays, the producer. And it's really crazy to me that guy got The Godfather produced. Then he didn't want to do The Godfather 2. He was like, nah. And then he didn't do like a real big movie again until like The Longest Yard. It's like, what the fuck? But
I do like The Longest Yard too.
but then he did $1 Million Baby.
Yeah.
Like, what? Really weird. What was his name? Fuck. And I'm watching. They referenced the guy who plays the studio head.
I need a refresher on the names. I'm not really good at remembering the names.
Well, I'll forget him, and then so in that new movie, the new show, The Studio, they referenced the guy who was the studio head in The Offer.
Oh, okay. Now I know who you're talking about. Because he was on.
I spilled baby.
I think he was on.
Al Ruddy was the producer.
Yeah. Okay, now I remember. Because I'm like, I watched another show that he was an actor on, and I recognized him from that other show. Yeah.
But do you remember the guy that was like, he was the studio head?
Yeah,
he was
the
like,
studio head.
Ruddy, you need, because like I remember he would say Ruddy. Because the studio head guy was married to Ali Lauder, and got divorced from her, and then she married Steve McQueen. Like, that was that old Hollywood like shit, Mm-hmm. I'll clean it up after, Smiley. Will you get me a drink though while you're up? Do you need anything?
I'm
You're good. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's such a good show.
I gotta watch it
and no
again.
one watched it, and it's like one season.
Oh, I was like obsessed whenever I watched it, and I wouldn't I was telling a lot of people, you gotta watch this.
Yes.
You gotta watch this.
And I
It's so
did.
good.
And Giovanni Ribisi plays the mob guy.
Yeah.
And like the whole like the it blew my mind how much mob stuff there was.
Yes.
In that, like,
it made me appreciate The Godfather a lot more.
Yes.
So much
Yes.
more. Yeah.
Like when they brought him, like when
It's like dangerous.
Yes.
So dangerous.
like that. Okay, so when he wanted that house, and the guy turned him down because they were like worried, the Godfather was going to make Italians look bad, and the mob boss overheard Ruddy like complaining that they were not going to get the place to shoot for the wedding scene. So then they're like, hey, the boss wants to talk to you, and they bring him down in the basement, and he thinks he's going to get shot. And he gets down there, and they have the dude that owns the house, and they're all, so you going to let my friend shoot a scene at your house? And the guy just pees himself, and you're like, Jesus, this really happened. It was really good.
I thought it was really good. The acting was really good, too, there.
Yeah. That is a good show.
Yeah,
I don't even know how we got onto that, but I got so excited that you watched that because
it's been a little while because it came out a little while ago, and then I binged the crap out of it.
And I feel like they put a bunch of money behind it, and it just did not get watched. I don't know.
It's a high quality, like super high quality film in my opinion. Yeah.
And like
they had I remember seeing too, like the costuming and everything was like very specific. Like you could feel like you were there in that time. The background, everything, like there was a lot of levels to that.
What I also loved is like I you found out like he got it. He was like analyst with like what was the RAND Corporation or whatever it was. Like they did like computing, and he was like bored. He was like, I don't want to do this. And then he wrote Hogan's Heroes. And I love when he like, cause I had never thought about it. He's like, at the pitch meeting, he's like, it's World War II. They're all prisoners of war. They're in a Nazi camp.
The pitch.
And it's a comedy. And you're like, what the fuck? You're like, I never even thought of that. It is kind of fucked up, right? Like,
yeah.
You know. And I remember as a kid, Hogan's Heroes was on like every day because it was the reruns of, and it was a big deal when I was a little kid because my dad would rewatch Hogan's Heroes.
My mom was a big fan, but I never watched it. Yeah, I remember her like would make references to the show. Yeah,
I know nothing. I know nothing. Yeah. But yeah, he got that, and I was like watching the first episode, and they did that pitch meeting, and I was like, okay, this is fucking awesome.
It is good. Yeah,
it's World War II. It's a Nazi prison camp, and it's a comedy.
All we're gonna do is make fun of Nazis every episode.
Right, pretty much.
Sounds like that'll work. Actually, I can see this working out every week.
Right, and just like the different hurdle, like you talk about tension, like. If you like watching shows that like make you feel a little anxious and like my friend gets anxiety, he can't watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. It gives it like
that movie Anger Management did that to me. I could not get through that. It was just like too.
Oh my gosh! Have you? And I haven't seen it. I've seen like 20 minutes of it. Beau is Afraid.
Beau is Afraid. No, I haven't. It's
Joaquin Phoenix. And it is a movie about a guy that needs to go visit his mother. This is as far as I've gotten. And the movie is showing you every fear that he has while it's happening, like in his mind while it's happening live. And I had to just be like, I'm done with this. I can't. I did 20 minutes, and I was like...
It's like, that's how I live my life every day. Yeah. I don't need this replayed back to me like, right in front of me.
For example, he's across the street from his place, and it's like an apartment building that has like the buzzer. You get buzzed in, and you have to like badge in. And he sees a guy that's like fully tatted and looks like a criminal, and he like runs for the door as the guy's running for the door as well, and he like badges in and gets in and shuts the door while the guy's like jerking on the door trying to get in and like pointing at him and trying to kill him. And you're like, okay, I don't need to watch it. It constantly.
I mean, we lived in Albuquerque.
Yeah, right.
We face fears
so
every
like,
day.
Like
I lived in the international district for a long time. So.
Oh, that's where I work.
Yeah, but it's like a movie where they're just constantly showing his fears that he's picturing in his mind.
Like Ally McBeal.
Yes. But like more. Wow, I forgot about
Ally McBeal. So you could do that pitch. It's like Ally McBeal,
but scarier,
scary, exciting. Yeah.
I don't see the difference.
Yeah, that show was that. It was weird because that show was big, and then it got canceled like after one season, right?
No.
Oh, it did 2 seasons.
Callista Flockhart, no, that was
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah.
No, that was
how many seasons?
I never watched Ally McBeal. I
didn't either.
That was on for. It has to be at least 4.
No, let's see. Hold on.
Lucy Liu got her start on that. Callista Flockhart. Seriously, dude, it was on for. I'm gonna stand by 4.
Okay, I mean you may be right. I remember when it got. I don't know how to spell anything, but Ally McBeal.
5 seasons, it says.
5 seasons.
Oh, all right. Well, then, all right. I was wrong. Well, then I'm wrong, Smiley. And you're fired now. I'm just kidding.
That's usually how I get fired.
Way to go. All right.
I didn't know it was a
seasons.
legal comedy drama.
They
Yeah.
worked
Oh,
at a
yeah,
law
yeah.
firm.
Oh, okay. I
But it
might
was
like
also like a, yeah.
You guys have your interests. I have mine. All right.
We like a good show. I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
My obsession show is The Good Wife. That's like the show that
I've never seen
It's
that.
an older show, and they've done multiple spin-offs. They just came out
Really?
with the offshoot of one of the characters, Elsbeth. Her character is originally based on Columbo, and I loved Columbo.
Oh.
It's not the same. She's definitely like a neurodivergent Columbo.
Does she do the thing where she's like, you know what? Thank you very much.
One more thing. She doesn't. I wait for that, but it's
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
All right.
But I had read that her character was based off Columbo, but it's like all these like parts. She's she's a fun character, Elsbeth.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that's my show that my foundation is laid on.
I just, I love the Reacher.
Pedro Pascal was on that
Ooh,
shortly.
really?
Yeah.
I like
I
him.
like to rewatch and be like, oh, this actor went big.
Okay.
But yeah, he was a lawyer briefly on that show.
I watch Reacher, and it's funny, like how many times I've like told people, they're like, well, what should I watch? I'm like, do you watch Reacher? And I'm like, it's on Prime, and they're like, and they'll go like this, well, I thought about it, but I don't know if I like that. And I'm like, okay. And then they'll go, I don't like what's his name, the writer, Tom Clancy. And I'm like, no, not that show. Because he has the Jack Ryan show. I'm like, Jack Reacher, which is like the dude from Blue Mountain State. And the original character was done by Tom Cruise in a movie called Reacher. But like, it's about this literally like dude who's like 6'6", and he's former military police, and he just nomad wanders the United States and falls into the situations, and then, you know.
It's the broiest book you could ever read.
Kinda.
I've gone through one, and I was like, they made 17 of these?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he solves, you know, but the first season's a mystery. The second season's kind of a mystery action, and the third season is definitely action, but you know, but like he's that character that's like John Wickish, and then like, but then he also is very intelligent, knows like, you know, he's like, well, I know that the Ford Taurus, you know, the transmission they put in it, you know, like all that shit, and you're like, all right, I don't know why I like it, I just do.
He's a 6'6"
Yeah.
brick house
yeah.
with all the intelligence of
Yeah.
James Bond.
Yes, or more, or
Yeah.
higher. Yeah,
It's
yeah. And it's funny because like I found
Not realistic is what you're saying.
no. But I found that the fan of that show runs from like ultra macho broy dudes to like all like you know, lesbian women, like all kinds of people. It's like this the craziest gamut of like they're like, I'll be at work and they're like, you've been watching Reacher? And I'm like, you watch that show? And they're like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, all right, cool, I watch it too, yeah.
I was resistant to watch The Good Wife because of the name of the show. I was like, heck no. Like, what is that about?
Yeah, it seems so weird. I'm the same way.
Yeah. And my friend that I used to work with, she convinced me to watch it.
Yeah.
And then I got really into it. But yeah,
I don't even know what it's about.
I watched
It is a legal drama.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And so I like that aspect of it because like every episode is somewhat of a standalone
Yeah.
where they have a case that sometimes gets solved, like that they have to go through
Okay.
for court. And then there's like a detective that has her own character arc and she's a badass. And she's
Oh.
very cool. But it's also like her struggling with like, you know, being, I think I relate to it because she goes back to work, but
Oh, yeah.
she's also raising her kids.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
so I can relate to that.
the premise is wife of a politician.
Politician, yeah.
And when they were
Oh.
like, what is the good wife doing standing next to
Stand
this
by
piece of
her
shit?
man who cheated on
Gotcha.
her. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's
He's
the
a
premise.
politician. Yeah, I should have went to the spot.
I got
Yeah.
you. I didn't know this.
That,
Okay.
Yeah, she still stands by him. Yeah.
Interesting.
I watched the first season. It was really good.
Okay.
It goes through and it has like, I mean, her arc, they do her character development and then they go full circle back to like that first season. They like do some callbacks. So
Okay.
it's really good in my opinion, but
Well, I mean, it's been on a long time, right?
It's an old show. I mean, that's
or it was
done.
on a long time.
It was on a long time, and then they did. They're still doing the spin-offs.
But you
like
said
Elsbeth just came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to me. Like, there's some like you think of spin-offs, but then there's like shows from like the 60s and 70s where they'd have like 4 or 5 spin-offs. My phone was like going crazy. And like Green Acres. Like Green Acres had like 3 spin-off shows. Did you ever watch Green Acres before?
I love that show.
I did. I recall it, but it's
Green
really.
Acres is the place for
I know
me.
the song. Yeah. I'm trying to think. They did The Good Fight, which was.
Was that Zsa Zsa or was it the other sister?
Yeah. I
It was
don't,
Zsa Zsa Gabor, right?
I don't know.
No, it was.
I think it was Zsa Zsa.
Sorry, my bad. I'm just remembering.
I'm like farm living. That's what's happening in my mind. Is a life
But
for me.
then they did like the spin-offs was like Petticoat Junction and what was the other one? God, there was a couple, and it's like, wow, how did they have so many fucking spin-offs from this?
well, we're still enjoying spin-offs of Cheers.
Are we?
Oh, Frasier.
Oh, Frasier, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Frasier's
yeah.
still out.
Green Acres.
Was there any other spin-offs from Cheers or just Frasier?
Nothing successful.
Nothing successful.
I don't think so. I think it was just basically Frasier, but it's still going, right? It's like it's in his second iteration where he's back in Boston, right?
I
Are
haven't
you
watched
kidding?
it.
Green
I
Acres
never
started out
watched
on the
it.
radio?
Oh wow.
Wow. All right. It was Eva Gabor. I
Eva.
thought it was Zsa Zsa.
Not Zsa Zsa. All right.
God,
I was
love-
wrong on that.
God, I
one.
love that name, Zsa Zsa. Let's see. Spin-offs.
Even a crossover with Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, wow. They don't... Oh, the rural... Oh, that's right. Because, like, at one point, there was, like, a rural purge on network TV where there was, like, they came in and they're like, we want all rural TV off shows, and they canceled them all.
What? Is that what happened to Hee Haw?
Yeah. I think so, yeah. Lassie was part of the rural purge. Wow, it doesn't say...
Oh, I could see that.
Reunion film, Broadway... Is it really not going to say in Wikipedia what the spin-offs were? Interesting. Because I know Petticoat Junction was one of them. Interesting. I don't know.
I don't know. Either.
But like, yeah, so how many spin-offs are of The Good Wife?
So they did The Good Fight, and then now it's Elsbeth. And the one thing that I don't like about it, since I'm like a super fan, is that they bring back some of the actors, but
Yeah.
they're as different characters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I kind of wanted them to come back as the same character
Oh,
as
like
they were
Law
in
and
the
Order.
original Good Wife. In The Good Fight, they do have the same characters come back as their character, and then they add new characters. But it's, I was a little disappointed because some of the actors, I love their characters that they played. So, like Nathan Lane had a really great character. in
Oh,
The Good Wife.
really?
Yeah.
I like Nathan Lane.
Yeah.
He's really funny.
He's really funny.
He's really good.
Alan Cummings is like a main character there.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, a lot of great actors. Yeah.
I thought he was in Ally McBeal.
We
Just
all-
kidding.
We all have blind sides. We all have blind sides. I've never seen. I left the room to go to potty because I've never seen
The Offer.
No, I've never seen The Offer. I've never seen The Godfather. I've never read the book. I'm like, you guys are just saying stuff right now.
What's wrong with you?
It's a really long book.
Honestly, like I don't. Well, the thing
It's a
that's
really
kind of
long movie.
cool about about The Offer is you get to see. I didn't realize the guy who wrote the book. They brought him in it to write the script, right? Mm-hmm. And he was kind of a jackass, like Mario Puzo or whatever his name was. Mm-hmm. He was like ultra indulgent on like eating. Isn't that how they kind of portray him? Like he's like diabetic and he can't eat. Like his wife was like, "You can't eat this," and that. And he's like hanging out with Ford Coppola, and he's like drinking and like fucking around. Yeah. But I didn't know any of that. Like, there's some you should watch it because I love the behind the scenes. Like,
I know nothing about it.
Like
literally.
now, I would say watch The Offer even
Yeah.
before you watch
Yeah.
The Godfather.
Yeah, and you have more respect for it. Again,
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, and like the whole time, like the thing that really blew my mind about The Offer, and I didn't realize this, and now I've people have met him. I asked them, they're like talk about how Al Pacino's too short.
Oh yeah, they do
They're all he's
talk
too
about
short.
that for a while.
A lot. They're like like there was a whole fight to not have Al Pacino. It's too short. So then somebody I was talking to the other day, they were like they had met him, and I was like, so is he really little? And they're like, yeah, he's tiny. and he's really into like basketball. So he like has the Laker games recorded, and he will watch them in his trailer and scream. Like he always has a lozenge because he screams so much that he'll blow his voice out, and he always has to have a lozenge. Like his assistant always has 3 kinds on him, and I was like, oh wow, that's kind of crazy.
Small guy, big lozenge energy.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, right, you're correct. Yes,
Yes.
But it's like, yeah, it's really interesting, like, because you see that and like, you gotta wonder, like, did he get mad at them for that? So he's too short. I saw him in that play. He was too little.
He's got to have the confidence, I guess.
Oh, for sure.
One of my friends was like, said something about, she thought I was taller because I have taller energy.
So the one that's blown my mind is like, people have come up to me after being fans of this, and they were like, oh, you are tall. Okay.
So
you did not think that, or what? You thought I was full of shit, or whatever.
do you talk a lot about being tall? Is that
No, I don't even know. I don't even know. I think it came out. It's come out, like, it's been, and I'm like 6'1", 6'2", I don't know, I'm around there. But like they'll walk up and they'll be like, "Oh, you are," like, and they'll stand next to you.
Oh, I think it's like, now I'm thinking about it. A lot of people
Yeah.
lie about their height, and it's like a thing, especially on like dating profiles, as people will lie about their height.
Oh, so you
So-
lie on your dating profiles? That was
I
going.
I don't need to. I'm actually too honest, and I think that has been my problem.
Yeah.
It's like, put it all out there,
Y'all,
see what you see.
I'm Leka. I can dunk.
Oh yeah,
I'm the funniest.
some donuts.
I had some donuts. I'm the funniest comedian in town. You'll laugh every minute.
You'll laugh every minute.
All right, let's get out of here.
Okay.
What a fun time. Brody's had enough. She's exhausted. Let's show.
much
Can we
kidding.
show the dog? Let's see.
You want me to hold her up?
No. Oh, I was gonna pan down for you.
Make her fly.
No, I'll show her for the people watching the Brody cam.
It's
As she lays there, look at her.
It's
And then she'll
happy.
still, when we finish, she'll still bark at you for no reason whatsoever.
it's to let you know that we all the cameras and audio is off.
Yeah. She's all
We're clear. We're clear.
You ready?
Look at her. She's like laying there. Look at this. Look at this dog.
It's the cutest thing. My dog's gonna be upset from the smell.
Oh yeah.
Oh, not from watching the video. I saw you. I saw what you were doing.
I saw you. Al Pacino's tall. I want to thank Leka for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
You were worried you didn't have anything to talk about.
I was anxious about it.
Really?
You went through the rules,
Yeah.
the process. I said, okay, I think I
No,
can
I
do
didn't go
this.
through rules. I was like,
I just mean, like, I
Yeah.
need to know how it's gonna go.
yeah, it's fair. I was like, it'll be fine. We'll talk. We'll have fun. And now I know that you're my offer buddy. So I'll be all.
I had to rewatch because I feel like you just have like a knowledge that you
Yeah.
remember names with faces.
No.
And I am like, I don't remember. I
Dude,
know it was a good movie. I was
Leka,
enjoying it in the
I barely
moment.
remember your name. Like I will meet if you see me meet somebody or
Thanks.
if someone walks up and they start talking to me, and I don't introduce you, it's probably because I don't remember their name. I'm
Yeah.
terrible with names.
But I'm like, I remember enjoying it. Is what I
Yeah.
remember.
It was good. It was really good, and I need to watch it again. That is a good. You know what?
Yeah.
That's a good call. I like that. Maybe I'll do that tonight while at Lego. I have to make a flyer for Billy. So
You know, I think I like it better when people don't remember my name. Introducing myself is the best. It's my favorite.
well,
Hi.
do you like it when you go somewhere and people don't know who you are, or do know who you are? It depends, I guess.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
I don't mind either way.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Does it
if
make
they
you
know
feel
me
good
or-
when you show up to a place and people are like, "Hey, I like your comedy"? Does that make you feel good?
How's that ever happened?
Does it not?
I mean, after a show, somebody might say that they like my comedy, but I don't get recognized like that right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll
so.
come. What do you think? How are you gonna handle that?
I think it'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's just if they go through the whole question of like, who's your favorite comedian, all this stuff. Oh, I always wanted to try comedy. I'm like, I was that person. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like it when people like my comedy because it is. I feel like it's a certain brand. It's a certain vibe, and when they do it, I feel like it's a genuine compliment. Because they didn't have to come up to me and say
there's
that,
Doug Montoya. Is it Doug or Jug? He wrote Doug, so it's got to be Doug. Yeah, see, I'm not good with names. I thought it was Jug. My bad, Jug. I mean, Doug.
I know this guy came up to me and said, I related to a lot of what you said.
See?
I'm not a mom, but I liked it. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, that was like the best compliment I got after a show. It's like, heck yeah. It's like free stickers for you. Yeah.
You were charging
Everything.
You were charging for the stickers?
Well, I need donations. I need them to pay for my sitters so that I can come to the show.
That's you know what? I like that. That
fair.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
You know what I get? I get the hey, we're thinking about doing a podcast. Can I run this by you? And I'm like, sure, go ahead.
Charge for the advice. Be like, donation.
I don't. Yeah, I don't charge for advice.
I'm kidding.
Because here you get this. If you're good at something, cool. But if you don't have a passion for it, you'll never do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can podcast all you want. If you think, I really hate when people come up and they go, yeah, man, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Everyone at work tells me I'm really funny. Or, comedy. I'm really funny. All right. What do you think? Well, I'm like, well, you got to do it. You just got to do it. There ain't no, learn how to do it.
That's one of the hardest things is doing the thing. And then once you do that, then
But,
you figure it out.
again, it's like podcasting is no different than being in a band, being a comedian, doing improv, doing, anything artistic, painting. If you don't have the passion for it, you won't be successful at it. It's just how it is.
True.
That is as true a statement as it gets. Someone could come up and tell me I'm wrong, and I don't care.
Yeah. You don't even have to be good at this as long as you just keep doing it.
Yeah. I've got like 889 episodes that'll tell you that we don't make any money doing this, but we love it. There you go. And Leka tells you she takes donations and she has to give away stickers, but she ain't doing that because she's, making money. She does it because she wants to do it. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm definitely not making a ton of money doing comedy.
No, it's called desire.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much. Because I'll do an open mic even if I don't feel like I want to. I will still do it.
Listen to that.
It's like, it's like I have to do it. It's like almost a compulsion at this point.
Yeah.
But, passion is a better word.
I guess I should bring this up. They were going to do a play, and they were going to do The Godfather, and they were like, what about Leka? I was like, oh, she's too short. No.
Short.
Too short. She's too
Give me
short.
a lozenge.
All right. We're going to get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. With that, we
are 10 drink minimum.